Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You took a look at extinction. Hopefully you found some interesting information about those Manitoba-specific creatures that are in danger. Now we're going to talk about some invasive species. These guys are basically on the opposite end of the spectrum. The creatures that are, threatened or vulnerable or all those things, those are on the way out. These are on the way in. There's just a problem. They're not supposed to be here. We have spoken in general about extinction and how that can affect an ecosystem, but now we're going to talk about a specific way that extinction can happen, an invasive species. An invasive species is what we call a creature brought into an ecosystem that outcompetes the local wildlife for food and resources. This competition causes the local species to decline in population and can result in that extinction. So basically, a new guy shows up on the block, wipes out the competition. But why would that happen? How did they get here? Two traits tend to give invasive species an edge. The first thing is the local predators don't know how to hunt the new arrival. We'll see that especially with some of the extra lessons that I have on this. Two, the new arrival has particular traits or abilities that the new are wildly unbalanced compared to their new environment. Here are some examples. A cane toad is poisonous, and any predator that tries to eat them gets sick. This has left the cane toad outcompete the animals in Australia, where it is an invasive species. Cats, just your everyday old house cat, is a great ambush predator, very dangerous, which means the tiny flightless birds like the kiwi of New Zealand are easy pickings. They got nothing. They can't even fly away. As far as the cat's concerned, this is a buffet. And they're all brightly colored too, so they look pretty. And then you get to kill them and eat them. It's great. The cat's having a great time. Hogs, or wild boars, are a very aggressive animal that are also incredibly smart, and that makes them a huge problem in the wilds of North America, especially more down south. We don't have a lot of them up here. It's too cold for them. But down south, wild hogs, big problem. And they all came from original farming animals. I give away the hint. How does this happen? It's us. Whoops. Humans bring these creatures along. Sometimes it's unintentional, like the cat eating the kiwi. Other times it was fully on purpose, like the cane toad in Australia. We actually brought the cane toad to deal with a problem with farms. Remember when we were talking about farms a couple of videos back, and we talked about the fact that, the locusts, we have to kill them with pesticides, and that's really expensive and a lot of work. People had that problem. They had a lot of locusts in Australia, and they're like, you know what? Why don't we bring something in to eat them? That'd be much smarter. So they did. They decided, I'll bring in some cane toads. There's just two big problems. Problem number one, cane toads don't eat those things. They can't reach them. They're too high up. So first of all, their solution didn't even work. Second of all, the cane toads are super poisonous, as mentioned, which means that all the local wildlife that tried to eat them would get sick or die if they did. It's pretty bad. So the net result is the cane toads started to spread everywhere. They didn't eat the things we wanted. They started eating other stuff, and they started out-competing the other animals. The cane toads themselves are not eating other animals. Well, okay, some of them, they are toads. They eat bugs. But they're not like eating a kangaroo or something. I'm trying to pick an Australian animal, kangaroo is what I went with. But they might be eating the same food or drinking the same water that those other animals might have drunk or eat, which means that now if the toad takes it, the other animal doesn't have it. Now, kangaroo's a bad example here, but same basic idea. This is especially, of course, dangerous, as I mentioned, the poison aspect. Huge problem for the other predators that would normally keep the population in check. They can't handle the poison. Now, this particular problem has been evolving over the decades. Originally, it was like a clean slate. The toads had like a free range over the whole continent. Anywhere they got to, they took over. Things have changed slightly in the recent years. In recent years, some of the smarter animals in Australia have figured out how to still eat the toads without getting sick. Because it turns out the toads have got specific sacs or poison glands on the back of their head where they keep the poison. And if you don't eat that part, you don't get sick. So some of the smarter animals have realized they can sort of pick around the poison and they're still fine. So they've been able to start eating the cane toads that other animals haven't been able to touch. But that's a recent development, and this is an example of an ecosystem finding balance over time. Again, if we understood the situation before it got to that point, we'd be in a better place, but we didn't. So, whoops. Is this a new thing? Nope. Humans have brought European organisms to North America during the initial colonization in the 1400s and drove local wildlife extinct. In more recent times, African, Asian, and South American organisms have been brought over to North America and are now outcompeting the existing wildlife. So North American wildlife already got invasive species coming in from Europe. Then, once we finish connecting the whole globe together in a one giant interconnected web of free trade and other things, now other organisms are coming from other parts of the globe, and they are outcompeting the locals again. Some of those locals are animals that have been brought from Europe, such as things like horses and pigs and cows, and others are local animals that were not originally threatened by the European animals, but are now being threatened by the new arrivals. So it's just coming in waves, coming in waves. Here are a whole bunch of videos that I can recommend you to take a look. All of these talk about invasive species in different ways. The World War Ant one, I highly recommend that one. It's pretty short, pretty snappy. You'll like it. The SciShow about killer cats, that one's pretty good. The Yellow Crazy Ants, not bad. The Cane Toad, we just talked about those a little bit. But what I am going to do is I'm going to assign to you guys, I want you guys to take a look at the Carpe Diem. I want you to take a look at the arrival of the Asian carp in North America and how much of an effect that is having. If you take a look, you'll see that the Asian carp and all of its effects, there is a page in your book where I'd like you guys to fill out. It talks about getting you to watch the video and to, do a learn from the video, record some information. That'll take you guys a bit, probably maybe even tomorrow. This video, as a result, pretty short, but now you've got a bunch of homework where you got to watch something else. Oh well. Next time, we'll be taking a look at something a little more complicated, the biogeochemical cycles. Ooh, that's a big word. Specifically, we're going to start with the carbon cycle. After that, we'll do the nitrogen cycle, but that'll be next time. I'll see you guys then.